What's up, y'all, man? It's your boy Yah's Chosen One, man. We are still in the book of Jasher with an awesome chapter, man. We in chapter 48. Yeah, chapter 48, man. This is a long chapter, man. I think last time, man, that we left off with verse 46. And the last video we did, man, we got the chief butler Merod, the one who left Joseph hanging, told Pharaoh about somebody who can interpret dreams, because none of the magicians and sorcerers of Egypt could do it. And this Merod dude told him about Joseph, because Joseph had interpreted dreams of him and the baker. So now we have Joseph coming to the king, and yeah, he's in front of the king right now, and the king is coming down to him. So here we go. Verse 47. And it was customary in those days in Egypt that no one should reign over them, but who understood to speak in the 70 language line. If you knew all 70 languages, how about that? I just thought of something. I'm gonna get with you. I'm gonna get with you on that in 1 second. That's awesome. And when Joseph came before the king, he bowed down to the ground before the king, and he ascended to the 3rd step. And the king sat upon the 4th step and spoke with Joseph. And the king said unto Joseph, I dreamed a dream, and there is none interpreter to interpret it properly. And I command this day that all the magicians of Egypt and the wise men thereof should come before me, and I related my dreams to them, and no one has properly interpreted them to me. And after this, I this day heard concerning thee, that thou art a wise man, and canst correctly interpret every dream that thou hearest. And he doesn't really sound like that, but I just gotta sound serious right now. And Joseph answered Pharaoh, saying, Let Pharaoh relate his dreams that he dreamed. Surely interpretation belonging to the Almighty. And Pharaoh related his dreams to Joseph, the dream of the kine, and the dream of the ears of corn. And the king left off speaking. That's Genesis 49:16 through it's going to be 16 to 24 and 33. And Joseph was then clothed with the spirit of the Almighty before the king, and he knew all the things that would befall the king from that day forward. And he knew the proper interpretation of the king's dream, and he spoke before the king. And Joseph found favor in the sight of the king, and the king inclined his ears and his heart, and he heard all the words of Joseph. And Joseph said unto the king, Do not imagine that there are 2 dreams, for it is only one dream. You idiot magicians and sorcerers. There's only one dream, and it's coming from a Hebrew. For that which the Almighty has chosen to do throughout the land, he has shown to the king in his dream, and this is the proper interpretation of thy dream, king. The 7 good kine in the ears of corn are 7 years, and the 7 bad kine or ears of corn are also 7 years. It is one dream, idiots. Behold, the 7 years that are coming, there will be great plenty throughout the land. And after that, the 7 years of famine will follow them, a very grievous famine, and all the plenty that will be forgotten from the land. And the famine will consume the inhabitants of the land. The king dreamed one dream, and the dream was therefore repeated unto Pharaoh, because the thing is established by the Almighty, and the Almighty will shortly bring it to pass. So it was 2 dreams, but this is established. It's going to happen. Genesis 16, verse 33. Now therefore I will give thee counsel, and deliver thy soul and the souls of the inhabitants of the land from the evil of the famine, that thou seek throughout thy kingdom for a man very discreet and wise, who knoweth all the affairs of government, and appoint him to superintend over the land of Egypt. And let the man whom thou placest over Egypt appoint officers under him. It's like a governorship. This is what Joseph's making, man. He's micromanaging. You got a president, you got governors and senators, you got representatives, you got mayors, you got councilmen, Same thing. This is what Joseph is doing. And let the man who thou place over Israel appoint officers under him, that they gather in all the food of the good years that are coming. And let them lay up corn and deposit it in thy appointed stores. And let them keep that food for the 7 years of famine, that it may be found for thee and thy people in thy whole land, and that thou and thy land be not cut off by the famine. Let all the inhabitants of the land be also ordered that they gather in every man the produce of his field, of all sorts of food, during the 7 good years, and that they place it in their stores, that it may be found for them in the days of the famine, and that they may live upon it. This is the proper interpretation of thy dream, and this is the counsel given to save thy soul and the souls of all thy subjects. And the king answered and said unto Joseph, Who saith and who knoweth that thy words are correct? And he said unto the king, This shall be a sign for thee respecting all my words, that they are true, and that my advice is good for thee. Genesis 51:34-44. Behold, thy wife sitteth this day upon the stool of delivery, that whore, the one that got me in trouble. And she will bear thee a son, and thou wilt rejoice with him. When thy child shall have gone forth from his mother's womb, thy firstborn son that has been born these 2 years back shall die, and thou wilt be comforted in the child that will be born to thee this day. Okay. And Joseph finished speaking these words to the king, and he bowed down to the king, and he went out. And when Joseph had gone out from the king's presence, those signs which Joseph had spoken unto the king came to pass on that day. And the queen bare a son on that day, and the king heard the glad tidings about his son, and he rejoiced. And when the report had gone forth from the king's presence, the king's servants found the firstborn son of the king fallen dead upon the ground. And there was great lamentation and noise in the king's house. And the king heard it, and he said, What is the noise and lamentation that I have heard in the house? And they told the king that his firstborn son had died. And the king knew that all Joseph's words that he had spoken were correct. And the king was consoled for his son by the child that was born to him on that day, as Joseph had spoken. Genesis 31. Genesis 51. Genesis 41, verse 34 through. Man, oh my goodness. I think I wrote the wrong thing down. Man, how did I write that down wrong? But I'm sorry about that right there. I think it's Genesis 51, verse 34 through 44. Get that right. No, it's no Genesis 51, so it has to be Genesis 41, verse 31. There's only 50 chapters in Genesis. So Genesis 41, verse 34 through 44. Okay? All right. I write that down wrong. Genesis 41. Yeah. All right. But anyway, you get it. You get the gist of it. I guess I just wrote something down here wrong. Had to check back myself, but yeah. So you get it. You see what happened, man. Pharaoh knew that Joseph was telling the truth, and his son died, and he was comforted by his other son being born. So that is what it is, and that was a really good chapter. And I was getting back to that 70, the 70 step thing. It was like I don't know if it was in Genesis or another. I mean, I don't know if it was in Jasher or something like that. But being able to know the 70 languages. I don't know if that was back in when we was talking about Nimrod. Oh, it's okay. All right. it's actually in chapter 49 in Jasher, and we'll get to that. But now we see how Joseph, how the Most High is actually going to work with him. We'll see in chapter 49, because in order to, getting back to what he said, in order to no one to have rulership over you, you have to know the 70 languages. And we're going to see how Joseph really got to rulership in Egypt, because you have to know the 70 languages. This is awesome. All right, man. Love you guys, man. I'll holler at you guys. Later. Shalom.